Strategy, a department responsible for constituency offices, and various heads of department from headquarters in Lusaka responded to the many challenges that were raised by the staff from Kankoyo constituency. Madam Speaker thanked the staff at Kankoyo constituency office and encouraged staff to continue guiding the people of Kankoyo on how to access CDF.
The session continues, we'll continue to interact. Even if I'm not here, at least the members of staff are here, they will come, interact with you. Training is very important, redefining the roles of your office and the office of the Member of Parliament in the guidelines, CDF guidelines. Very important, because we have seen that you are doing a lot of work in relation to CDF and the administration of the fund, and also assisting the people that are applying, completing the forms and all sorts of things. So that will be done. But anyway, it's a work in progress. Some things will be done quickly, others will take time. Everything, as has been said, requires funding. But we are not going to fold our hands.
After holding a successful meeting at Kankoyo constituency office, the Right Honourable Madam Speaker headed for Kantanshi constituency, and the area Member of Parliament, Mr. Anton Mumba, received the Honourable Madam Speaker at the constituency office, and she was treated to some traditional Lozi music. Before the meeting, the Honourable Speaker and the area Member of Parliament planted trees in an effort to reverse the effect of climate change. The Speaker interacted with pupils from Kantanshi and Muflira Secondary School on the importance of planting trees. Mr. Mumba briefed the Speaker on the major challenges the constituency was facing.
In Kantanshi constituency, of course, some of the problems, you hear them on the floor of the House. The major problem we have is we have issues of water, although there is a huge water and sanitation project going on, but you find that the flow of water is so inconsistent. The Congolese have done a proper road from Mukambo to, actually from Sakanya border to Kasumbalesa. So the trucks are coming through here because it's shorter. It's just a 16-kilometer stretch. They cross into the no man's land. They make a turn to the left. They head to Kasumbalesa, as opposed to them bypassing Sabina, Chingola, Chilabombwe, then Kasumbalesa. So this is a shortcut. The office will be in the main town, in the main mine area. We're looking at a certain park which has been abandoned, so that we can take part of it and build the park behind, so that the office can have recreation behind, instead of the piece of land sitting idle as it has been. So we're having those conversations, and we're hoping next year, maybe around this time when we rise from Parliament, God allowing, you'll be able to come and ground break. The money is always available. We get a good contractor, so that for the first time we can have an office constructed from CDF.
And Kantanshi Professional Assistant Mr. David Lumbo highlighted a number of challenges the constituency was facing and made a number of proposals. The Speaker assured constituent staff that all the concerns raised in the meeting will be looked into by management.
I've learned from you, and also we have taken note of your concerns. Of course, it's a work in progress. Some issues will be addressed immediately, others will take time. Of course, limitations being funding. But they say that you have to move step by step. Otherwise, if you run too much, you can crash. So we don't want to crash. In terms of the land, again, we were very excited to hear that. And I can say that when you are ready, I'm even willing to come and lay the foundation stone. So,
Madam Speaker left Kantanshi from Muflira Central constituency, and Mr. Gordon Mwila was on hand to receive the Honourable Speaker. Upon arrival, Madam Speaker and the area Member of Parliament proceeded to plant trees at the constituency office. Mr. Mwila requested the National Assembly to address the challenges the constituency office was facing. Honorable Nelly Muti, MP, assured the area Member of Parliament and staff that management will look into the issues raised during the meeting.
We will continue the conversation. Even if I don't come here myself, members of staff are more familiar with the issues that we've raised. They'll be able to come here and we'll continue interacting. Training is very, very cardinal.
After touring a number of constituencies on the Copperbelt province, the Speaker of the National Assembly described the trip successful and appreciated the proposals made by members of Parliament and staff from all the constituents' offices.
The trip has been very, very successful. We've had a lot of interactions, several interactions. You know, from Sunday, we've been talking about the same story, but we didn't get bored. Every day, every constituency, we're meeting new challenges, new ideas. So we have learned a lot from the members of staff, from the constituents, from the honorable members of Parliament. We have been told what their challenges are, and also they have made proposals on how best we can serve the community. So these officers are here for the Zambian people, for the community, for the constituents. It's not for any particular political party or any particular gender or people who are disabled or not able. It's for all Zambians, and we are here to serve the people. That's why we have come, so that we can see how best we can serve them. And this opportunity of going through the Copperbelt province has provided us with an opportunity on how best we can serve the people of Zambia.
The members of Parliament and constituent staff have shared their challenges. It is up to the National Assembly of Zambia management to deliver on the many promises they've pledged if these constituent officers were to serve its purpose of bringing Parliament closer to the people.
Football lives on GoTV. Works the space well. Nobody but GoTV gives you all games of La Liga and Serie A.
And he scores. And it's into the net again.
The Premier League.
He has
Bola ya Present. And UEFA games that matter. Get a Go Coder, Go Tenor, plus 1 month of GoTV Super for only 499 kwacha to enjoy the football madness. GoTV. Love it.
This month on DSTV Compact. 4 restaurateurs navigate the challenges of opening restaurants with their significant others.
That drives me crazy.
A New York detective uses his unique intuition to solve crimes.
Feelings sometimes serve me.
And take it to the canvas in more explosive rounds of WWE Raw action.
Here we go.
It's your moment to be entertained by staying connected to DSTV Compact.
It's Wednesday, 5th July 2023, right here on Parliament Television. Proceedings of the House are coming your way at 14:30 hours, and this is Pauline Monga to be with you on live transmissions.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Matiboko, and of course we are joined by our sign language interpreters, Jason Manda and Chola Kauma. We look at business that was considered on the floor of the House on Friday, 30th June 2023.
Yes, on Friday, 30th June 2023, business started with matters of urgent public importance. And there was one matter of urgent public importance, understanding Order 134, that was considered. And this came from Mr. Yotam Chalo, Chairman North Member of Parliament, and the subject was retrenched Zampost workers living in destitution, and Madam Speaker ruled that this matter was inadmissible.
The House went on to consider questions without notice during Her Honor the Vice President's question time. Thereafter, there were 2 ministerial statements. The first statement was made by the Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security. This was on the alleged police brutality following a directive by Madam Speaker arising from a matter of urgent public importance raised by Mr. Clement Andeleki, Member of Parliament for Katombola, on Thursday, 29th June 2023. And so the minister disputed the assertions and explained circumstances under which a police call-out is used.
And there was another matter, there was another ministerial statement, and this was a ministerial statement rendered by the Minister of Health, and the statement was to provide additional information on questions for oral answer number 319, that was on the order paper for Thursday, 29th June 2023.
Question for oral answer number 324, understanding order 74, was withdrawn because the Member of Parliament sought leave of the House for the question to be withdrawn. Thereafter, the House went on to consider questions for oral answer number 325 to 328, understanding order 74.
And the House also considered the committee report on cabinet affairs, and the motion made and questions proposed that this House do adopt the report, of course, of the Committee of Cabinet Affairs on the implementation of national monitoring and evaluation policy in Zambia for the second session of the 13th National Assembly, laid on the table of the House on 27th June 2023. And this motion was moved by Mr. Lugusha, and of course, debate was interrupted, it being 12:55 hours, and proceedings on the debate on the motion stood adjourned. And at that time, we had the Babala Member of Parliament, Mr. Musanje, who was on the floor of the House adding his voice to this motion. So the House adjourned accordingly at 12:56. So we expect debate on this motion to continue today.
Yes, time now. We now look at business that is expected to be considered on the floor of the House today. Wednesday, the 5th July 2023, we have 2 questions of urgent nature, understanding order 76, 5 questions of ordinary nature, understanding order 74, and 2 committee reports, and 2 government bills which are coming at a second reading stage. The first committee report will be moved by Isoka Member of Parliament, Ms. Marjorie Nakaponda, to move a motion urging the House to adopt the report of the Committee on Health, Community Development and Social Services on the performance audit report of the Auditor General on the provision of mental health services in Zambia 2018 to 2021 for the second session of the 13th National Assembly, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 27th June 2023.
We have another motion expected to be moved by Kaoma Central Member of Parliament, Brigadier General Sitwala, and this is the committee report on the national security and foreign affairs. That this House to adopt the report of the Committee on National Security and Foreign Affairs on the report of the Auditor General on the control and regulation of illegal migrants into Zambia for the second session of the 13th National Assembly, laid on the table of the House on Friday, 23rd June 2023. So those are the 2 committee reports expected to be considered on the floor of the House. And as we can see now is the Honorable Madam Speaker's procession into the House. For now, we cross to the floor of the House. Good afternoon.
Honorable Members of Parliament, Madam Speaker.
God, who in your infinite wisdom and providential goodness has appointed the offices of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of the people. We beseech you to consider with your abundant favor us, your servants, whom you have been pleased to call to the performance of such important responsibilities in this land. Let your blessings descend upon us here in Parliament assembled, and grant that we may, as in your presence, treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interests you have committed to our charge. Amen. Honorable members, I wish to acquaint the House with the presence in the Speaker's Gallery of the following members of the Gender Committee of the Pan-African Parliament and staff. Honorable Mariam Diago Gabala MP, Chairperson Côte d'Ivoire. Honorable Rachel Yasindali MP, Member Central African Republic. Honorable Pemi Bajodina MP, Member South Africa. Honorable Maria Mediatrice Isabiaza MP, Member Rwanda. Honorable Anita Ndaziezie MP, Member Burundi. Miss Marie Bebe, Staff Cameroon. Mr. Jeffrey Onganga, Staff Gabon. Mr. Joris Mushota, Staff Zambia. And Mr. Chomba Kalunga, Staff Zambia. I wish on behalf of the National Assembly of Zambia to receive our distinguished guests and warmly welcome them in our midst. I thank you. We make progress. We go now to matters of urgent public importance. I can see two names, the Honorable Member for Pambashi and the Honorable Member for Nyimba. The Honorable Member for Pambashi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I'm rising on the serious matter of national interest, growing concern, according to our standing order number 134, and read together with order number 135 in terms of the admissibility. Madam Speaker, Zambia is one of the countries that is endowed with natural resources. And Luapula in particular has been discovered to be a province with one of the most inexpensive minerals in the world. To be specific, the second most expensive. This morning when I was checking the international market, the suggerite is costing about $5.2 million per metric ton.
The Honorable Member, please do not debate. Just state the matter of urgent public importance and who is it raised to?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The matter is directed on our Honor, the Vice President.
Can you please state the matter without debating?
Madam Speaker, this is in relation to the case of Sujirite. I have with me a daily tabloid of Daily Nation, volume number 9, issue number 3710, dated Wednesday, July 5th, 2023. On the second page, Madam Speaker, the 3 Sujirite thieves arrested in Mansa. Madam Speaker, Saturday morning, Zambians in Luapula province were treated to a statement by the police deputy spokesperson, Mr. Dan Mwari, who stated that the 3 people that are suspected to have stolen Sujirite in Mansa on Friday night had gone to the mine in Mwambe mining to go and begin blasting. One of them, Madam Speaker, is mentioned as Kalembwe. Kalembwe is the provincial youth chairman for UPND,
Honorable
who's facing
member,
a 2-year sentence.
Order, honorable member, you are now debating the matter. Kindly, for the last time, can you please state the matter without debating? Just state the matter.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for your guidance. Madam Speaker, is the Vice President of the Republic of Zambia, who is the leader of government business, why this matter is directed on it involves 2 ministries. It involves the Ministry of Mines and the Ministry of Internal Security. That's why it is directed on her. That again, yesterday, it is reported that the police in Mansa again arrested 2 foreign nationals who come from Afghanistan by the name of Hashim Muhammad and Mr. Mwashi Muhammad, both with Sujirite. And as people of Luapula province, Madam Speaker, we are concerned that Luapula province borders the longest border with the Democratic Republic of Congo and part with Rwanda and Burundi. That's why that region of Zambia is called the Great Lakes region. Madam Speaker,
what is the matter, honorable member? What is the matter? We want to hear the matter, not the debate, without going into details.
Madam Speaker, the matter is how Honor the Vice President to keep quiet and not address the people of Luapula province and the people of Zambia, what the government is doing in relation to the mining of Sujirite in Luapula province and the security concerns that are rising. Yes, my brother, Minister for Youth, they were arrested on Saturday and they were released on Tuesday during the audit.
Thank you. I think I've gotten the matter. Thank you, honorable member. This matter has already been raised in this session. According to our standing orders, kindly check standing order 135, number 2B. If a matter has been already discussed by the House during the same session, then it's not admissible. The issue of Sujirite has been mentioned. It was brought to the House, I think 2 or 3 times. I would advise the honorable member maybe to use another avenue to bring this matter to the House. He can either maybe wait for her honor the Vice President on Friday, or indeed use the question format. Thank you. The honorable member for Nyimba.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, please permit me to raise this matter of urgent public importance. I know it's coming from Nyimba as a constituency now. I don't want government to find itself in a problem which they'll need emergency funds or DMMU to move in, which we can, by today, Madam Speaker, if we handle this case, we can sort it out. Madam Speaker, there are two schools in Nyimba district which are not connected to the national grid and they're entirely dependent on...
Honorable Member, the matter is supposed to be addressed by who?
By the Minister of Education, Madam Speaker.
You can go ahead.
Thank you. There are two schools, Madam Speaker, Kachorora Boarding School and Chiwari Boarding School, which are not connected to the national grid. And they survive by using generator gensets to run the schools with a population over 800 pupils or students at these two schools. Madam Speaker, for the last 2 months, the schools have been using, luckily, thanks to the government that we gave them all 100% CDF money. This is the money now they're using to buy diesel. When the agreement with government is that they'll be providing the grant for the diesel. And in the last 2 months, Madam Speaker, these two schools haven't received money for diesel. And what has happened now, we might have a early closure of these schools because we are not doing the needful. My question to the Minister of Education, what is government doing to avert the problem at these two institutions? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Again, your matter is not admissible. In fact, the way you've even addressed this matter is through a question. You should have just gone that way. Because according to the rules for the matters of urgent public importance, they should not be peculiar to only a small section of the country. It should be widespread. So, Honorable Member, again, can you please find another avenue of bringing that matter to the House? Thank you. We make progress. Questions for oral answer understanding order number 76. The Honorable Member for Kampinsa.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I have the great honor and privilege to ask question number 329.
Thank you. The Acting Minister of Mines and Minerals Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. In response to the question asked by Mr. Christopher Kangombe, Member of Parliament for Kampisa, in A, whether the government is aware that over 1,000 workers as First Quantum Minerals and Operations Limited are on the verge of losing their jobs following the announcement by the company that it will be closed down and consolidated with the operations at Kansanshi. B, if so, what urgent measures are being taken to prevent job losses which will lead to destitution? The response, Madam Speaker, is as follows. In A, government is aware of the ongoing restructuring at First Quantum Minerals, which comes as a result of FQM's decision to consolidate its mining operations, including the Road and Earthworks Division and Mining Division, with the operations at Kansanshi Mining PLC. In B, while FQM has proactively taken measures to ensure that the employees affected by the consolidation are well taken care of, as some jobs may be adjusted or redefined due to potential duplication, the majority of the employees will simply be transferred to the new entity without any job losses. The government, through the Ministry of Labour and Social Services and the Ministry of Mines and Minerals Development, is closely monitoring the situation and engaging FQM to ensure that the affected workers are treated fairly and in compliance with the country's labour laws and regulations. This is in an effort to support the affected workers in finding suitable employment within the First Quantum Group. Madam Speaker, I submit.
Thank you. Supplementary questions. The Honourable Member for Kamfinsa.
I'm grateful once again, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity to ask the Acting Minister of Mines a follow-up question based on the response that has been provided. Madam Speaker, I want to find out from the Acting Minister. The response you have provided confirms that there is some restructuring ongoing at First Quantum, which will affect some workers. Are you able to confirm to this August House the actual number of workers that will be affected once job descriptions are redefined? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Acting Minister of Mines and Minerals Development.
Madam Speaker, at this stage, the exercise is ongoing, and we cannot be in a position to give precise numbers until the exercise has been completed. I thank you.
The Honourable Member for Kanyama.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity that you have given me. Madam Speaker, you agree with me that unemployment is devastating, resulting into poverty, crime, inequality, and you agree with me that a number of our people are benefiting from social welfare grants that are given, which is a burden to the government. Now, looking at this looming number of 1,000, employees feared to be fired, is the government not trying to find an amicable way to avoid that would be a burden to the government? I submit.
The Acting Minister of Mines and Minerals Development.
Madam Speaker, we said that government is working very closely with FQM. And what is basically happening, Madam Speaker, is that the division at Bwanamukubwa had 1,000 employees. The majority of these employees are going to be absorbed at Kansanshi. There may be a few that will not find a place, but those will be very, very few. And should that arise, they will be subjected to receive their compensation in terms of the law and regulation. I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honourable Member for Kamfinsa.
Thank you very much once again, Madam Speaker. My last follow-up question to the Acting Minister of Mines. I'm certain that he's as concerned as we are regarding the welfare of the workers at First Quantum. I want to find out from the Acting Minister. Minister, what steps have you taken as government to get some form of written commitment from First Quantum that would allay fears of job losses? Is there anything written? Is there anything that First Quantum has written that will bind its commitment to securing jobs for our people after the restructuring process? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Acting Minister of Mines and Minerals Development.
Thank you for that good question. We have already stated that the Ministry of Mines in particular is working on a continuous basis to ensure that the job losses are minimized. So they are actively involved. At the end of the exercise, if there will be few jobs that will have to go, we shall then resort to the appropriate legislation under the labor laws to ensure that our people are appropriately compensated for. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honourable Member for Nkana.
Honourable Acting Minister, I'm very saddened we seem to be turning into a laughing stock. Despite so much endowment, we are dancing to the songs of these investors. 2 years, Honorable Minister, 2 years in a row, we've lost colossal sums of money in the name of providing incentives to mining companies who for a very long time have been calling on government to put in an appropriate tax regime that would support investment. When we are supposed to be celebrating creation of jobs in these mines, today we are lamenting over prospects of job losses.
Honorable,
Don't you think, Honorable Minister, don't you think that these investors are twisting government? Because they were celebrating when the announcement was made, the change in the tax regime. Today, there are threats of job losses. Don't you think that these investors are twisting you? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Acting Minister of Mines and Minerals Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Only to assure the honourable member that no entity, however strong, can ever twist this government. Madam Speaker, the issue is the issue of incentives. Before we changed the tax regulation and incentives, there was absolutely no additional investment in the mining sector. Following the change of the tax regime, over $1.5 billion has been invested, including the opening of a new nickel mine in northwestern province, creating additional employment. Additional employment and jobs have been created in northwestern province. So, Madam Speaker, what we are doing is not to shrink production, is to boost production, is to create and open new mines. We have not, Madam Speaker, in a long time, been recipient for investment in the mining sector to the extent of 1.5 billion. And that is what is going to assist us to meet the target of 3 million tons in 10 years. So, Madam Speaker, this government is running in a prudent manner to ensure that mining anchors and continues to provide us the necessary revenue to support the development of the country. I submit, Madam Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Chitambo.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Minister, may I know what has necessitated this consolidation and adjustment? Thank you.
The Acting Minister of Mines and Minerals Development.
I know that the Honourable Member of Parliament for Chitambo is in business, and any business does take consolidation and adjustment in order to improve the operations of that business. So it is for that purpose that they have undertaken this consolidation. I submit.
The Honourable Member for Shiwangandu.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Honourable Acting Minister of Mines, are you in a position to confirm whether there is a written undertaking between the mine and the union regarding the fate of the employees who are either going to be rendered redundant or be taken up in other operations? Because like you have said, the number is not known yet, but we are talking about more than 1,000. Is there something to guarantee the status of these employees in writing between the mines and the trade unions responsible for the mine workers. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Acting Minister of Mines and Minerals Development.
I understand from my colleague written commitment from government, the union. I think the first level of comfort that all of us must ascribe to is the law, is the labor law. That is completely written, and it provides for circumstances that must be followed in the event that workers are declared redundant. So there cannot be anything above what the law says. And what the law says is going to prevail. I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Petauke Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving this opportunity to the good people of Petauke. To ask a follow-up question, Madam Speaker, to the Acting Minister of Mines. The Minister of Mines, you know, I'm just from concluding my research about the youths. Here in Zambia, 30% of the Zambian youths are educated, and 70% they are uneducated. And this is according to the research. I'm just concluding.
Honorable Member on the floor, can we please be focused to the question? I think the question does not ask anything about how many youths are educated. Just be focused to the question. You can go ahead. What is your question?
Thank you. Minister, the people who are affected that side, the new Dawn government, the minister, they have scored on those educated youths, only 30% of Zambians. They have scored underemployment, but the 70%, no one has been attached. And those who are at risk to lose jobs there, they are falling under the 70%, which means the percentage now will increase from 70 to 80. Now the question, Minister, is we have got Sujilite in Rwapula, and we have got gold in Kasenseri, which is just on the surface. You can imagine people just go there and blast, then they come up with
Honorable
Sujilite.
Member on the floor, the question is very, very specific. The First Quantum Minerals and Operations Limited. It's very focused. Now you are bringing in other issues which are not part and parcel of the question. Can you please be specific to the question on the floor? If you want to come up with another question, please, I think you are free to submit a question to Junos. Otherwise, let's try to be specific.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for your well guidance. I'm sure it's only that I over-researched, Madam Speaker. The question, Minister, is... do you have any plans under your ministry to open those mines so that those people who are going to lose jobs, they can be employed under Kasenseri and in Rwapula, where we have got Sujilite? I seek your answer, Honorable Minister of Acting Mines. Thank you.
The Acting Minister of Mines and Minerals Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I just want to thank the Member of Parliament for his interest in carrying out research, in particular as it relates to unemployment. Madam Speaker, we have said that some of these workers affected will be taken on by consortium, some will be taken over under the new nickel mine, which is in northwestern province. And indeed, there will be other opportunities that will be created. So in terms of effectively those that are going to be separated, they'll remain very, very, very few. And we are monitoring with the Ministry of Mines that we minimize any jobs that are going to be lost as a result of this change in approach. I thank you.
Thank you. I'll take the last three. Our order paper is loaded today. The Honorable Member for Mukushi North, Matero, and Kantanshi in that order. The Honorable Member for Mukushi North.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Honorable Acting Minister of Mines, we have seen that in your statement, you have actually stated that those that are going to lose employment are going to be relocated to other new mines. Do we see a possibility of having these workers being relocated to Mukushi at Kashime mines, which First Quantum is about to open? Could you confirm that others will be relocated to Kashime mine in Mukushi? Thank you.
Thank you. The Acting Minister of Mines and Minerals Development.
Madam Speaker, what we have said is that we are going to make all possible efforts to ensure that we minimize job losses, including reallocation to Mukushi. That is part of the effort, I submit, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Member for Matero.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, as you know, Northwestern gave a huge vote to the UPND government to form government in 2021 elections. Honorable Minister, FQM also has been receiving a lot of tax concession. Shouldn't the news coming from First Quantum in Northwestern be about 1,000 job creation and not 1,000 job reduction? Isn't FQM working against your government, seeing 2026 is nearby? I thank you, Honorable Minister.
The Acting Minister of Mines and Minerals Development.
Madam Speaker, we are indeed grateful for the vote that was delivered by Northwestern Province, but also grateful that the President won by 1 million. So it means that it's nationwide. Yeah. And we remain grateful for that large vote. Yeah. And we'll continue to deliver appropriate to ensure that that margin does not go down. Madam Speaker, we are focused on ensuring that we continue to attract investment not only in Northwestern, but in the mining sector in general. So I want to assure you, Honorable Member, that what we are doing is in Northwestern Province to continue the investment. These operations are in Bwanamukubwa, in Ndola. And most of these people will be moved into Northwestern Province, and some of them will go to Mukushi. Should there be a few that will remain, then obviously they will be compensated appropriately under the law. I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. There is an indication for a point of order. The Honorable Member from Nkana, what is your point of order?
Madam Speaker, guided by our Standing Order 65 on the accuracy of the information we provide, I'm at sea and I don't want to walk away blank. The Honorable Minister acting as Mines Minister, in essence agrees that there will be loss of employment almost to 1,000. But in the same breath, he mentions that his ministry is trying to minimize job losses. Madam Speaker, there is no correlation between creating other employment opportunities and the loss here, the minimizing job losses here. What is the ministry, because we need to be clear, Madam Speaker, what is the ministry doing, as he says, minimizing job losses? Minimizing job losses means out of 1,000, you cut off, as opposed to creating other. I'm lost, Madam Speaker.
Honorable member, thank you for that point of order, but please, let's try to work as a team, because the minister is still on the floor. It's even better if you had, since you've already asked the question, you should have asked your neighbor maybe to ask that question. So what I'm going to do, since you raised it almost like a question, not a point of order, and you also debated that point of order, I'm going to ask the minister, as he takes the last question from the honorable member of Kantanshi, just to react to that issue that you've raised. The honorable member for Kantanshi.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Minister, for your responses so far. The people of Kantanshi just wanted to understand, because they have been a victim of mines making these decisions of retrenchments in the name of downsizing or in the name of reinvestment and so on. Now, since this information has come across to you, and yes, we are grateful for the investment of over 1.5 billion, an investment that hasn't been in the country for a long time in the sector. But would you think that maybe there are more incentives that these mines are looking for, this particular mine is looking for, considering the past where we're coming from? Under Mupani, we saw a lot of these requests which led to either our miners losing jobs and all sorts of things were happening. Do you think that there are more demands coming from this sector, from these investors, that your government needs to address? Thank you.
Thank you. The Acting Minister of Mines and Minerals Development, as you respond, please just define what the Honorable Member from Kana was trying to find out. The Honorable Minister of Mines and Minerals Development.
Madam Speaker, our policy is very clear that any tax incentives that are offered are not offered to a specific mine, but are offered to the sector. So we will not be taken along the path where we take FQM singularly for any incentives. And I can confirm here that FQM has not asked this government for any additional tax incentive. And the issue that was raised about minimizing and over and all these things, let me just read the answer in Part B. The answer in Part B says, while FQM has proactively taken measures to ensure that the employees affected by the consolidation are well taken care of, some job roles may be adjusted or redefined due to potential duplication. The majority of the employees will simply be transferred to new entity without any job losses. This is what we said in the answer. And if other opportunities are created, they will be able to absorb new jobs. So we are quite clear, no contradiction, because this government is not vulnerable to delivering contradictory statements. I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. We make progress. Next question, the Honorable Member from Pika.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question number 330.
The Honorable The Acting Minister of Mines and Minerals Development.
Madam Speaker, in response to the question asked by Mr. Francis Kampianga, Member of Parliament from Pika constituency, who asked the following questions. In A, whether the government is aware that there is a company called Tambamwelu that is illegally mining gold in Pika district and has brought in heavy equipment that has caused destruction of roads and collapse of the bridge at Kanyelele River that connects Kanyelele to Mutamba area. In B, if so, what urgent measures are being taken to stop illegal mining and avert further environmental degradation by the heavy equipment? Madam Speaker, in A, government is not aware about the illegal mining activities being conducted at Tambamwelu in Pika district. As of May 2023, the ministry conducted a verification exercise to ascertain the extent of illegal gold mining in Kanyelele area of Mpika district. It was established that only local people were involved in the illegal gold mining in the area. In B, government will immediately engage Tambamwelu and establish the reported activities in the area. However, government is aware that in Tambamwelu has 2 active exploration licenses in Pika districts which are expiring in 2025. Madam Speaker, I submit.
Thank you. Supplementary questions. The Honorable Member from Pika.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. And thank you, Honorable Minister, for that response. Honorable Minister, a group of people led by a Mr. Kateole, representing in Tambamweru, arrived in Mpika on 2nd June 2023, driving 4 Prados with security lights. They met one of our chiefs and disclosed who had sent them. After 1 week, they started mobilizing tippers and excavators. In the
Order, honorable members. I've given the floor to only the honorable member from Pika. Let's give him chance to ask his question.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Then, as they were moving that heavy equipment, they even damaged a bridge connecting Mtamba and Kanyelele. 1, an excavator drilled at that bridge. 2, a tipper drilled at the same bridge. I have pictures for you to ascertain this information, because your people have widely misled you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister, they have been mining even using explosives against the Explosives
Member,
Act.
Madam Speaker, your question? What is your question? You've described
Madam
the
Speaker,
whole scenario.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And that company does not even have an exploration license in that area of Kanyelele. Madam Speaker.
Point of order, Madam.
What is your question? Point of order. The honorable member from Pika, what is the question?
My question, Madam Speaker, is that if that is not Ntambamweru, then who were those people representing? Because those are not local people like you have misled the nation and the House. Those are not local people. Those are not from Mpika. Our chiefs know who the people of Mpika are. Those are not from Mpika.
Thank
you so much,
Honorable
Madam
Member.
Speaker.
Before the minister comes in, there is an indication for a point of order from the Minister of Local Government. What is your point of order, Honorable Minister?
Madam, thank you very much. I'm rising on order number 65, which also addresses us to the issue of relevance. Madam, it is clear from the Member of Parliament from Pika that he brought in a question whose answers he knows very well from the manner in which he is presenting himself. And the Minister has indicated about government's unawareness of the activities therein. Is it therefore in order to bring a question whose answers he is more conversant and more competent to answer when we have made it clear ourselves that we are unaware about the activities of that mine in Mpika? He even has photographs, madam. Can you imagine?
Order, honorable members. Thank you for that point of order. The question at hand is very, very important. Can we please try to make questions, supplementary questions that will benefit the people instead of defending the situation? The honorable member of Mpika, you are from Mpika itself. I'm sure there are better questions that you can bring across so that the people in Mpika will benefit. Don't give us the information that you have, because that information actually would have been more helpful if you had sat with the Minister of Mines, maybe even before coming to the House to make a response. That information that you have is very useful, but it would have helped the minister who is responding, since you know a lot, and we can't blame you since you are coming from the same area where the question is being focused to. So please, can you choose the questions that will benefit the people? If you've got answers to the questions that you are asking, I don't think it's of benefit to the people of Mpika. Just make use of this opportunity to come up with very good questions regarding this matter. So the honorable member of Mpika actually was out of order because he seems to have the answers there. So with this guide, honorable member, the people of Mpika are looking up to you. Just bring very useful questions that will benefit the people there. The Honorable Minister of Mines.
Madam Speaker, you have dealt with the subject matter, but I think in essence it would be very helpful for the Honorable Member of Parliament, who is so convinced that the local chiefs, including himself, know how people from Pika look like, to be able to advise us that those that he saw are not from Pika, so that government can deal with it appropriately. So, Honorable Member, if you could parade us, those that were in Pika, and demonstrate to us that this is not how they look, I submit.
The Honorable Minister, I think what is important here is just to know the true information rather than to parade the people. It's very important that we have the facts on the ground so that we'll be able to make progress in this issue. So maybe, Honorable Minister, as you answer the question, please try to be factual so that the people of Mpika will benefit from your responses. Who is next? The Honorable Member from Mpika. The second and last question.
Madam Speaker, thank you so much. And let me also put it on record that when the question was placed, the minister had an opportunity to invite the member of parliament and get more information. I was not contacted, Madam Speaker. How then would I provide him with that information?
Honorable member, we appreciate your comments, but please can you go straight to your second question?
I was trying to put this on record since you said the information that I had provided was not necessary and useful.
No, what I said is very important that you share information with the Honorable Minister.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, the equipment that mined and which is mining, which is looting gold in Impika is still there. And we know where they have heaped the same gold. Like it has happened in the Sujlight case. When are you going to take law enforcement agencies on the ground to help you investigate and bring culprits to book since they are mining against the law? Thank you so much, Madam Speaker.
The Acting Minister of Mines and Minerals Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think now, obviously, we have got more focused information, but also want to encourage the Honourable Member of Parliament from Pika that it is part of his responsibility that if he's got information that is critical to the well-being of our people in Pika, he can contact the Minister of Mines, and I'm sure appropriate action can be taken, not only to wait for the Minister to reach him. But to Madam Speaker, in the answer we were specific that the illegal mining was being done by local people. Number two, we were specific that Tambamwelu has got an exploration license according to our records. Three, Madam Speaker, the issues that he has raised will be taken seriously by the Ministry of Mines. Having mounted a mission at the end of May, the Ministry will take appropriate action to ensure that illegality is exterminated in Bika. We shall take appropriate action. Madam Speaker, I submit.
The Honourable Member for Ron.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity to raise a follow-up question. Honourable Minister, our country is struggling with a lot of debts, and yet we are endowed with a lot of natural resources. When is your ministry going to be serious to ensure that all these discoveries of minerals in our country is taken care of or is put in under the custody of your ministry so that our government can start realizing monies to help manage the revenue collection of our country instead of allowing maybe foreigners or locals to continue rooting these mineral resources? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Acting Minister of Mines and Minerals.
Madam Speaker, this government has taken some practical action. The Honourable Member of Parliament will recall that the Kadaska was closed to try and clean up all the mining license issues. And as we speak now, only properly authenticated licenses are being issued. So the first exercise was to clean up. Number two, there are various amendments that have been made to the Mining and Minerals Act, again to ensure that we safeguard our mineral resources. And then number three, Madam Speaker, appropriate regulations are being put in place, including the establishment of a commission in the mine to ensure that the mineral resource that is being mined is properly accounted for. So we are taking appropriate action to ensure that whatever resource that we have got and the revenue that is generated therefrom is available to the people of Zambia. Those actions, Madam Speaker, are being taken. I submit, Madam Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Pambashe.
I thank you, Madam Speaker. The Minister, you served in the previous administration, and there was a company called that was established by the state for the purpose of management of gold, called Zambia Gold Company. And Bank of Zambia was with a duty to be buying gold and to be reserving gold bullion for and on behalf of the Zambian people. Now that information seems to be spreading from Lumezi, Mukushi, Kasensedi, now we hear Kanyerere, and of course in the constituency Ngabwe, and of course Mumbwa. What is the government position, bearing in mind the question by the Member of Parliament for Ron, that we require more revenue so that we can sustainably deal with our domestic issues as a country? What is the government position concerning Zambia Gold Company? Have we abandoned it because it was begun by the previous administration, or it is one of the best ideas that we can continue with for the good of the Zambian people? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Acting Minister of Mines and Minerals Development.
Madam Speaker, as we sit here today, over $100 million in terms of gold has been purchased through the Zambia Gold Company, and they continue to be available to sell to the central bank gold as and when it is available. I submit, Madam Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Shiwangandu.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, I have to declare interest that this area where gold deposits are is between Mpika and the larger part in Shiwangandu. And Honourable Minister, we are aware that the only company that has got exploration license in that area is a company called Unicom. Our concern, we were engaging the substantive minister last week, who assured that there was going to be a platform for the stakeholders in the area to have a serious engagement on how we were going to manage that natural resource in this area. Madam Speaker, through you, I would like to note from the Honourable Minister what the ministry is doing to curb this seemingly increasing impunity, because what is obtaining in Ruapura area over these sewage rights scandals, now we have got the second one, is exactly what is happening in this area between Shiwangandu and Mpika, where people with impunity would walk into the area without a license, with equipment, and start mining. Madam Speaker, we want to know, because if the Honourable Minister, government doesn't move in quickly with all of us as stakeholders, the local people there might start reacting. And you know, where there are resources like that, there's a potential conflict in waiting. So what is your government doing to curb this kind of impunity that we have witnessed in Ruapula, now coming into Muchenga province? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honourable, the Acting Minister of Mines and Minerals Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Obviously, we want to control the resource. including gold, that is between Shwangandu and Pika. And as you rightly said, the minister has engaged you as stakeholders to meet in Pika to look at the problem and working with government to come up with a sustainable solution. And I think that is a practical step. We are going to accelerate those efforts that you meet as quickly as possible, also including security measures that are going to be put in place so that we do not allow illegality, particularly in gold, in that particular area. So we take this as an urgent matter that we should plug and stop any illegal mining that has a potential of creating instability in the area. Madam Speaker, I submit.
Thank you. The Honourable Member from Fue.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honourable Minister, for the response that you have been giving. And I want to find out why government has continued to issue exploration licenses when the minerals are already there, because I'm aware that there's also another company that has been issued an exploration license called UNCOM. Thank you.
The Acting Minister of Mines and Minerals Development.
Madam Speaker, exploration licenses are issued on the basis of the mapping of minerals that is carried out in a specific area. And on the basis of the things that we have done with the cadastre, there will be no overlap of any license in any part of Zambia. So whoever has been issued a license will be a bona fide holder of that particular license. So draw comfort that the duplication that were there, the overlaps that were there, and licenses that were not appropriately issued, all those have been cancelled. All those have been cancelled, and new licenses are being issued to ensure that we bring back order in the mining sector, in particular in mineral exploration. Madam Speaker, I submit.
The Honourable Member for Kabwe Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. But I think from the answers of the Minister, he has really answered the question I wanted to ask. It was just to ask when he's going to act, since the Member of Parliament for Mpika has really lamented that an empty company and his youth in the constituents are doing illegal mining. But I think he says soon they are going to act. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll take the last three. The Honourable Member for Nyimba, Kanchivia, and Chipiri. Sorry. I'll get the last four and Nalolo. The Honourable Member for Kanchivia.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I think if there's anything that has Madam Speaker, the area being discussed also extends to Kanchivia. As a matter of fact, you'd find that the accessibility is easier from Kanchivia, going through Chifumpepo's chiefdom. Madam Speaker, speaking to some of our engineers in this country, mining engineers, one thing they confirm is that Zambia literally sits on gold, and that Zambia has a lot of gold deposits to compete with countries like Ghana. But I think the challenge we have are the high levels of greed and indiscipline. To what extent is government willing to bring order to this particular sector? I'm aware that there are these so-called exploration licenses being given, even in Kanchvia, and without the consultation whatsoever of local stakeholders. What is government doing to bring order, sanity to this particular sector? Because clearly, you don't end up with a situation where residents begin to take the law in their own hands against those who are coming from outside. I submit, Madam Speaker.
The Acting Minister of Mines and Minerals Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And the issue that has been raised is very substantive. As we speak now, the Honourable Member made reference to Ghana. As we speak now, Madam Speaker, the substantive Minister of Mines has left to go to Ghana as part of the exercise of learning, as part of the exercise of bringing prudent methods on how we can bring back order, particularly in the gold sub-sector. I've already indicated the efforts that are being done in terms of revision of regulation. We are taking, as government, this issue extremely serious, including the opportunity for the ministry to sit with stakeholders in various parts of the country where gold is, so that we can think together, work together, and create a more sustainable and beneficial arrangement to this resource that this country is endowed with. So, Honourable Member of Parliament, we are taking urgent and appropriate actions to ensure that we bring back order to this subsector. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. The Honourable Member for Chipiri.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honourable Minister, Acting Minister, do you have any intention as a government to act or to start mining as a state without waiting the imperialists to be told what you should do with the gold that we have, so that we can sort out these debts? It's enough is enough, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
The Acting Minister of Mines and Minerals Development.
Madam Speaker, it's no longer an intention to act. We are actually acting as government. We have a subsidiary company under the ZCM Investment Holding that is undertaking the very exercise that he's referring to. So it's not an intention, we are actually doing it. I submit, Madam Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Nalolo.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Honourable Minister, thank you for your responses. Madam Speaker, through you, the government always has details of who is exploring, but they always have scanty details on who's mobilizing. Who are these locals who have mobilized equipment? Why are they just being referred to as locals? Which company is this? I submit, Madam Speaker.
The Acting Minister of Mines and Minerals Development.
Madam Speaker, we said in the answer that in the area that we are referring to in Pika, there is some illegal mining by some locals. And the illegal mining by some locals, and definition locals, could be people that, anybody that is illegal, they come in, they go out, they come in, they go out. And that is the reason why this government has decided to go and engage on the ground to try and stem off illegality that is taking place in Pika and indeed any other part of Zambia where illegal mining is taking place. I submit.
There is an indication for a point of order. The Honorable Member for Pambash.
I thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, before I raise a point of order, let me say welcome to the Minister for Information and Media. We missed you, my sister. We are happy to see you back in the chamber. Madam Speaker, Standing Order 65 is very precise on consistency on the ministerial statement. My elder brother, Honorable Minister, who's responsible for science and technology now, the acting Minister for Mines, earlier on, he said the government was not aware of any illegal activities in Kanyerere area. Now he says government is aware of the illegal activities by the local people. Which one is which, Madam Speaker? Is government aware of the illegal activities in Kanyerere, or government is not aware? In which position are we going to put on the answered, Madam Speaker? I seek your serious guidance.
That one looks like a question. No, please, I am not asking for a response. The Honorable Minister, who is on the floor, you are confusing the people, because in the beginning you said you were not aware, the government was not aware, and now during your responses, you went on to say that you know some locals, or there are locals that are getting minerals from that area. So it's a bit confusing, Honorable Minister. Maybe as you respond to the last member of parliament who is asking a question, can you please clarify so that the people in the house and the people who are out there will be able to know whether the government is aware or the government is not aware, so that the people will know to say that now this time around the government is aware, or the government actually is already aware. The Honorable Member for Nyimba.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I'm happy that the acting minister is a seasoned politician who has held up a very influential position in this country. Now, my question to the minister. Minister, looking back 20 years ago, what has been the problem with this country? Looking at the minerals we have, Minister, anywhere, whichever constituency in Zambia you go to, Madam Speaker, you may wish to know that in my constituency, when the rains ends, the vehicles from Tanzania will flood the valleys and they'll pick gold and go back. 80% of the gold which is done by artisans is taken out of this country because we don't have a system. What has been a problem, Minister, to create a system which is going to manage small, small areas where we are mining these artisans areas. Then, Madam Speaker, is there a problem that you as a government, even previous governments from MMD to PF to now UPND, is there a problem that you can't come up with a system of empowering locals by giving them artisans license? Immediately they discover that at certain village or certain river or certain mountain there is some deposits of gold. Is it a problem? Because we can't keep on calling indigenous Zambians as illegal miners. These are our resources. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Acting Minister of Mines and Minerals Development, taking into consideration that request.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. There is absolutely no inconsistency. Let me read the answer as I gave it. The answer says, as of May 2023, the ministry conducted a verification exercise to ascertain the extent of illegal mining in Kanyelele area of Mpika, and it was established that only local people were involved in illegal gold mining, and that is the response that we gave consistently. I submit. In terms of the second question, Madam Speaker, this government is giving artisanal licenses for gold mining and other mining activities. So we are basically empowering our people. I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. So the government is aware. Thank you so much. We make progress. Next question, the Honorable Member from Mbabala, under Standing Order 74. The Honorable Member from Mbabala.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving the good people of Mbabala to ask a question, and welcome on Minister of Information. Question number 333. 331, sorry.
The Honorable Minister of Fisheries and Livestock.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. The Honorable Member from Mbabala is asking the Ministry a question in three parts. One, when rehabilitation of houses for veterinary extension officers in the following areas in Mbabala parliamentary constituency will commence: Manguza, Mapanza, Muntanga. In B, whether the government has any plans to construct modern houses to supplement the ones already in place in the areas stated above. And in C, if so, when the plans will be implemented. Madam Speaker, in our response, in A, the House may wish to note that the veterinary extension services have been devolved to local councils, and it is now the responsibility of the local councils to construct and rehabilitate camp houses. This entails that the local communities in Mungaza, Mapanza, Muntanga should work closely with the Choma District Council to identify the needs of the extension officers and the use of constituency development funds to construct and rehabilitate camp houses. Thus, the community now that the local council can now decide when the rehabilitation works will be done. In B, Madam Speaker, the House may wish to note that the current veterinary extension houses were built in the colonial area, and government has plans to construct modern camp houses. Our plans are clustered in the veterinary extension houses with other government structures such as schools, clinic, and other amenities to ensure easy access of water, electricity, and the internet. The old camp houses will then be used as offices for veterinary officers in their locations. This plan has been operationalized in Westwood, Tanpak, where my ministry has constructed modern veterinary extension houses. My ministry will role in the decentralization process is to provide technical support to the district and we will work closely with the Choma District Council to provide this support. In C, Madam Speaker, the plans are in place. The modernization of camp houses will be implemented as communities decide on their priorities. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Supplementary questions. The Honorable Member from Mbabala.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister, for your comprehensive response on this very important question to the people of Mbabala. And that is Mangunza, by the way, which we are talking about there. Now, Honorable Minister, of course, we are lucky that we have partially planned for some of them, like the one at Mutanga, to do the rehabilitation, including the office. But for the other ones, do you think our council has the capacity to deal with the other ones which you have just referred to the council, since the services are just being referred right now? Are you able to do it something so that we can next year know that these are within our council? Thank you so much.
The Honorable Minister of Fisheries and Livestock.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This is the more reason, Madam Speaker, this government had decided to increase the Constituency Development Fund so that our communities can decide their priorities by using the Constituency Development Fund, because that is the fund that is coming from the government to help our communities to prioritize their programs that they want to do in their respective communities. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable members, just a reminder, this is a constituency-based question, so let's be mindful of that as we are asking questions. The Honorable Member for Petauke Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving the good people of Petauke this opportunity to ask a follow-up question to the Minister of Fisheries and Goats.
Fisheries and what, Honorable Member? The Honorable Member on the floor. This is a very important session where we are. Let's try to be serious. We all know that there's only one Minister of Fisheries and Livestock, not goats. Can we be serious?
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and well guided. Minister of Fisheries and Livestock, are you thinking in your ministry of undertaking sensitization to some of the MPs who doesn't understand about the increment of CDF and the use of CDF, so that in such projects of camp houses, they can utilize CDF, the increase of CDF from 25.7 million to 28.3 million. Thank you. Instead of bringing those questions into here, wasting time. Thank you.
Honorable Member, when a question is asked to the House, it's not wasting time, because the person who is asking is representing people from the constituency. So let's avoid words like wasting time when a member has brought a motion, a question to this House. All questions are very important before this House. The Honorable Minister of Fisheries and Livestock.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think the researcher has over-researched. In fact, Honorable Madam Speaker, the Honorable Member was just trying to get clarity whether there's other envelope that government can top up on what he has as Constituency Development Fund. Because Constituency Development Fund is part and parcel of the Member of Parliament. So there's no need for me to conduct sensitization among its members of Parliament. They know it very well. I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Kankoyo.
I thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, with the successful signing of the Lupito Corridor PP with the presidents of Zambia, Congo, and Angola, obviously provides a huge market for beef products. So I want to find out from the need to invest in this industry cannot be overemphasized because there's already a market which is coming ahead of us. So I want to find out from the minister, using the CDF, is encouraging not only the MP in Mbavara, for MPs to quickly find the means of investing in this industry to ensure that we quickly benefit from what is coming ahead of us. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Member for Kankoyo. Like I mentioned, this is a constituency-based question and is specifically talking about houses for extension officers. Can we please restrict ourselves to the question at hand? Not the marketing of the end product. This question cannot accommodate. And the issue of CDF has already been responded to. So we'll skip, we'll go to the Honorable Member for Chipiri.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Minister, in your response to the question, you stated that you have intention. Now, when is this intention going to be actualized so that the people of Mbabara could have that hope that within that framework, some of these houses will be constructed? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Fisheries and Livestock.
Madam Speaker, I stated that the veterinary extension services have been devolved to local authority. So now this is the responsibility of our local councils in conjunction with the communities as they identify their priorities. As a ministry, our job is now to give them technical support in how to implement the plans of putting up modernized houses. I thank you.
The Honorable Member for Gwembe.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, in your answer you indicated that these veterinary office houses, they were built in the colonial era. Honorable Minister, kindly confirm that UNIP, MMD, and PF never did anything. And kindly also confirm, like you have indicated.
One question, Honorable Member.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Fisheries and Livestock.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. Indeed, I can confirm that most of our camp houses are houses that were constructed during UNIP era, and they are really in bad shape, which need rehabilitation. And for the few past regimes that have been there was very little that was done towards the Ministry of Fisheries and Livestock. There have been so much poor funding towards the sector. And this administration has realized that this is a sector which can also turn the wheels, the economic wheels of this country. And hence, we have started seeing an increase in terms of budget allocation. And due to the resource envelope, that's why we cannot do everything at the same time. If you look at our programs that we have, Madam Speaker, we have even started recruiting extension officers. So that's how this administration has applied itself towards this sector. by paying attention that we have to really revamp and rekindle the sector because we believe it can create jobs and create wealth for our people. So going forward, I know there's much that we are going to do, especially where Constituency Development Fund is being increased so that people can identify first priorities in their communities. I thank you.
I'll get the last member, the Honorable Member for Karurushi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you for allowing the good people of Kalurush to ask the Minister of Fisheries and Livestock a question. Minister, clearly the topic at hand is rehabilitation, and from your answers, there's confirmation that government is trying to concentrate on rehabilitation. Looking at what the previous government had done in terms of rehabilitation, in Mishinga, that's in Kanchivia. I was once minister. We did some rehabilitations, Madam Speaker, but the state of the houses that we're talking about were built in colonial. Wouldn't it be advisable that instead of rehabilitation, because some of them are in such a poor state, why don't we construct them right from the beginning? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Fisheries and Livestock.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member, for that question. Indeed, even when we have said the local authorities must consider to rehabilitate and construct modern houses, what we are saying, Honorable Member, is that those which can be rehabilitated must be rehabilitated and hopefully turn them into offices. You are aware that most of these camps we have, our officers don't have even offices where to operate from. So we are thinking that those old ones which can be rehabilitated can be turned into offices. And the local authorities can go ahead by putting up modern houses for our staff to motivate them at the same time. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. We have to make progress. We've got 2 reports and 3 bills. The next question, the Honorable Member for Lunte.
Madam Speaker, thank you so much. And allow me to join Honorable Chitotela in expressing my gladness to see the Honorable Minister of Information and Media. Madam Speaker, question number 332.
Honor the Vice President.
The Honorable Madam Speaker, the Honorable Member of Parliament for Lonte, Mr. Kafwaya, is asking a question, and this question is in 3 parts. In part A, the member wants to find out how many people were arrested by the Anti-Corruption Commission for corruption from August 2021 to August 2022. And in part B, the Honorable Member wants to find out how many cases had been taken to the courts of law. And in part C, the Honorable Member wants to find out how many convictions had been secured as at August 2022. Madam Speaker, in response to part A of the question, I wish to inform the Honorable Member that there were 68 people arrested from 55 cases between August 2021 and August 2022. In part B of the question, I wish to inform the House that 45 cases were taken to the courts of law. And lastly, in part C of the question, Madam Speaker, I wish to inform the Honourable Member that 10 convictions out of the 45 cases were secured for the period under question. I thank you, Madam.
Thank you. Supplementary questions. The Honorable Member for Lunte.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Your Honor, the Vice President, I would like to sincerely thank you for that response. Your Honor, the Vice President, 45 cases were taken to court out of 68, leaving a balance of 23. Your Honor, the Vice President, is it government policy that some of those cases the government does not want to take to court, the people should be convicted in the court of public opinion by the use of social media, or indeed government-controlled media? Thank you, Madam.
Honor the Vice President.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The concern of the 68 cases and those that had not been taken to court, that they should be convicted through the Office of Public Opinion. That is not the intention at all. In fact, some of those cases that may not have been taken to court have been dealt with internally. They have been, I must say, cleared, some of them, without necessarily going to court, and they have been cleared. Others may have been cleared, when they decide to move on. And you remember here we have been talking of the provision in the forfeiture, the Act number, just a minute, or according to the provisions in Act number 19 of 2010 on forfeiture of proceeds of crime. Some of them, under corruption, there is invocation of clause number 29, which provides for people to settle out. The prosecutor can be able to settle out, and people choose to declare and forfeit to the state. So some of those cases may have gone under that, and therefore they are no longer being prosecuted. But let me also say the issue of prosecution through public opinion is indeed a very common thing today, and a lot of times it's people that have been called that they themselves bring it to the public media. Sometimes people go with the media, and the media enjoys to blow it. But there are those that go silently, and we may not even be aware that some people have been called to the anti-corruption, or they have been indeed arrested. We may not be aware. But for people, particularly that are like me and the Honorable, we like public. So the public gets involved because we inform them that we have been summoned or we have been arrested. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Lunte.
Madam Speaker, thank you so much. Your Honor, the Vice President, the fight against corruption cannot be, or should I say the benefits that can accrue from the fight against corruption cannot be overemphasized. This is why this fight is important. 68 arrests. Your Honor, the Vice President, there are new allegations of corruption, such as ministers soliciting 2 million kwacha from a cut from Sujlight scandals. What is SCC doing to ensure that these ministers who are soliciting for amounts such as 2 million kwacha from Sujlight scandals can also join the 68 who have been arrested by SCC? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Her Honor the Vice President.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think that the honorable member, one, wants to extend his question. In the question, Honorable, you were very specific about the period, 2021 August to 2022 August. So the question is also kind of limited to that. But it is important. Nobody can overemphasize the fight against the corruption. And that's why the law, the long arm of the law, will reach out to everybody. I think that this government has worked to live by its declaration that we are going to govern by the rule of law. Anybody, including the Sojilite you are talking about, people have been arrested. Even today we heard from this house that some people have been arrested. So when you know something that is illegal, I think it is important to go to the law enforcers to ensure that things are happening. But again, we don't want to prosecute people through the media, the court of public opinion. And this you should not be tempted to make today, because it may just go in a wrong place. Thank you, Honorable.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Kabwata.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Your Honor, the Vice President, I understand and I agree with you that corruption is corruption. Whether you are at a lower level or at a higher level, it is still perceived to be corruption. I wanted to find out the numbers that you've given us, the 66 arrests. Is it possible if you could share to this House the numbers of those who are politically inclined or politically identified as politicians in society, so that we are able to know if there are any people who are politically exposed, individuals who are corrupt, of course, yes. Thank you.
Her Honor the Vice President.
Yeah, I think it is important to know that corruption, as the fight has been going on, has affected everybody, both public and private, and politically affiliated and non-political. So there are so many of the cases here. I don't know whether I will not be cited for sub judice if I start going through, or just stating the cases would not be sub judice. I have my...
Your Honor, the Vice President, maybe if they are part and they are still in court, it's better to avoid.
Yeah, indeed, Madam, thank you for the advice. But just to name them would take me a long time. But I can lay the cases that are with me on the table, so that honorable members can have sight, instead of me going through all the 68, those that have been convicted, those that I think I would allow me to lay on the table this kind of information. Those that have been convicted, they will be on a list, Madam, if it is allowed. If it is allowed. That will be contempt. Right. So I think that's why I've left it to the Speaker to give me guidance.
Yes.
I have the information of who is where, but let us be guided.
You can put them. She can put them. Thank you. I think the most important thing is not to discuss the Is it the members that are, the matters that are still in court? But just for public information, if they wanted to know who is there, there's no harm. You can lay it on the table. But what is important is, please, let's not discuss the cases that are before the courts. We make progress. If Your Honor, if the material is not ready now, it can come later. It can come later, there's no harm, so that we make progress. It can be laid later. Okay.
Madam, the information is here as much as possible.
Thank you. We make progress. The next member is the Honorable Member for Kwacha.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for allowing me to ask a follow-up question on behalf of people from Kwacha constituency to our Honor the Vice President. But before I can do that, allow me also to join my other colleagues to welcome our Minister of Information and Media back in the House. Your Honor, the Vice President, I would like to find out from you how much recovery my government has made from these corruption cases so far that has been waged. If you are able to indicate in this House probably the figures that has been recovered for those cases of corruption in terms of those that are bringing proceeds of crime. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
I don't know whether Her Honor the Vice President can answer to that, because the question is very specific, talking about people that were arrested, people, how many cases were taken to court, and how many convictions. I think that would be a different question, or it's a different question altogether. The Honorable Member for Chairman North.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Your Honor, the Vice President, 45 cases taken to court, only 10 convictions. Are you happy with the rate of convictions? Thank you.
Her Honor, the Vice President.
Thank you very much. I think it is important to know that I did state, Madam, that some of them have been disposed of through the other provision in the Act under the forfeiture of proceeds of a crime. That must also be taken note of. Am I happy? I would want everybody convicted, but that's not the way it is. And also, some of them are still in the courts of law. These are 45, they are not disposed of. Yeah. They are still running in the courts of law because of complicated, prosecution of a particularly white-collar crime. Thank you.
The Honorable Member for Shesheke.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. I honor the Vice President.
what message do you have to some of the members that are allegedly committed these financial flaws? What advice do you have to them with regards to taking such issues to social media? What advice can you give them?
Her Honor the Vice President.
Thank you very much. Those that are alleged to have committed financial crimes, and you are saying they are using social media to cry out. Please, that is not the way to go. You expose yourself even more. Let the law take its course. Let the due process of the law take its course. Then you'll be exonerated. Otherwise, you bring more enemies to yourself. There is so much poverty in the country, and people will hate anybody whom they alleged committed a crime, a financial crime, that they may see as disadvantaging them. So it is important that we allow the due process of the law. Social media will not help us at all. The cry we heard, Honorable Madam Speaker, from the Honorable Member for Lunte was that you are just exposing yourself, and if the public opinion convicts you, don't blame anybody because you are overexposing yourself. That is my advice, that let the due process of the law be taken so that when you are exonerated, when you are acquitted, when what, everybody will say we saw it. But social media will not help you. It may even convict you faster. Thank you.
Thank you. We make progress. Next question. The Honorable Member for Mufumbwe.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question number 333.
The Honorable Minister of Health.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, Mr. Kamondo, the Member of Parliament for Mufumbwe Parliamentary Constituency, is asking the Minister of Health whether the government has plans to construct mini hospitals in the following wards in Mufumbwe Parliamentary Constituency. 1, Kalambu, 2, Kamzekenzeke, I hope I pronounced it. Kamzekenzeke. And 3, Kashima East. B, if so, when the plans will be implemented. Madam Speaker, I take note this question came much later after we had classified the various hospitals. So I think what the MP is trying to ask is when government will construct health centers in these 3 areas. So our response is as follows. Government has plans to construct more health facilities countrywide, and they have identified an area called Kamzikanzike that they have used CDF, or they have planned to construct a health facility in 3 phases at Kalambu Ward, and therefore government will not construct any health facility in that area. Madam Speaker, the preliminary site investigations were undertaken in the 4th quarter of 2022, and the project for construction of hospitals and health facilities in the country is ongoing, and the contractor is expected to move on site in the 4th quarter of 2023. Madam Speaker, going forward, I think that statement has been made. I would like members of parliament to once again take note of the classifications as earlier alluded to in the previous questions. Further, the House may wish to note that construction of the health service delivery structures will be dependent, among others, on the catchment population, distance, and other epidemiological considerations. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Supplementary questions. The Honorable Member for Mufumbwe.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I would like to thank the Honorable Minister for the clarifications that she has made today. Honorable Minister, you may be aware that when this issue of Min Hospital came, there are some areas like in Mufumbwe which never benefited. And most of these areas are areas which are very far from the main hospital. So I wanted to find out, you have told us that Kalambo, indeed, we have used the CDF, which we have started actually constructing another level hospital, something that is better than the one which was there. But Kashima also, the population has increased. And we thank government actually that there are plans to construct one in Kaminze Kenzeke. Don't you think it would also be prudent to consider Kashima East, because the population is quite big and the distance is quite very far? And we're almost actually experiencing women almost failing to deliver. Some of them, they die on the way. Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Health.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honorable, for your follow-up question. I will answer your question in the following, and hoping that other members also can take note of this. First of all, we must consider the fact that primary health care has been or is being decentralized. What that means is that health posts and health centers will be under local authorities. And members of parliament, currently many of the members of parliament have found it necessary to construct health posts or health centers, all in an effort to give a better service to their communities. I also want members to take note that around health centers, whether they be in the urban or rural constituencies, there is a directive that every health center should now have or should include a maternity wing and ensure that there's water and there's good sanitation. So, in the reclassified categories, health centers in Zambia will now all have maternity wing. And because of that, there's consideration now for reclassifying even the number of health workers or the categories of health workers that now should be found at the health centers. So every time when a member of parliament is deciding to construct, they'll make a decision whether they're constructing a health post or they're constructing a health center. The government will come through and work with members of parliament in the various areas to see what priorities you've set for yourselves and partner with you to help you. For example, if your health post is finished, whether your health center is finished, obviously you need equipment, you need staff. So what this means is that we have to plan. Like I said last time, we are already assessing, analyzing the real needs according to the priorities that have been set by every district, so that we can say this year we expect so many health facilities to be constructed, because then we know once they're constructed, we can support furnishing them with the necessary equipment and furniture, and also planning and deploying staff. What we don't want is a situation where 150, for example, members of parliament, each, some of you have seen, have been putting 3 health posts in their constituencies, and you find that we are only able to support you towards 1, and the other 2, maybe they take another 2-3 years. That may be uneconomical, if I may use that word. I think it will mean that we are not being smart enough. So we need to work very closely. I also want to say that government's plan is to facilitate also in the construction of health posts and health centers and hospitals, which are district hospitals, level 1, level 2, level 3, and level 4. That is in the bigger plan of government. We shall continue constructing health facilities of all categories as a government. But, like I said, MPs using CDF now are constructing 2, that is health posts and health centers. So be clear about what you are constructing. And let's align ourselves to the new Dawn government's policy, guidelines, and regulations. Don't continuously remain in the past, because the past is confusing. We have, as New Dawn, a manifesto that you yourselves campaigned upon. So what am I saying? Kashima East. The MP may decide with his community that Kashima is a priority for them, and then they'll budget for it and decide to construct a health center or a health post. But if it is a priority and the MP is unable to construct that hospital, the health center, the government can take over.
Order. Sorry, there is an indication for a point of order. What is your point of order, the Honorable Member for Shiwangandu?
Madam Speaker, thank you so much. I'm rising on the point of order pursuant to Standing Order 65, 1A. Madam Speaker, the Honorable Minister on the floor is one of the most experienced ministers that side. And she has been part of all the governments, including the New Dawn. Is she in order, Madam Speaker, to insinuate that the past to which she is part to is more confusing than it is now? Because, Madam Speaker, experienced ministers like her are supposed to teach people that government is a continuous going concern, and that she should be the first one to orient and teach these newcomers. Is she in order, as experienced as she is, Madam Speaker?
To confuse the bridge.
New Dawn, New Deal, PF.
Can you please cite the bridge committed?
Is she in order, Madam Speaker, to portray a picture to this August House and the nation that the past is more confusing to her than the present, which is just a continuation of a tour of duty? Because she has been on tour of duty. I seek your serious guidance, Madam Speaker.
Order, honorable members. Of course, the honorable member who raised the point of order did not even cite.
I did cite Standing Order 65, 1A.
Thank you. My ruling, honorable members, is that the minister who is on the floor is the current minister, and she had the chance to look at what was there before her and what is there now. She has compared the two, and she has concluded to say what was there was confusing than what is there now. So that is the Honorable Minister of Health. No, that is the situation. Before her, she's saying what was there was confusing. And what is there now is not confusing. So with that in mind, as she's answering or giving the response, she's actually in order because she's able to compare and say this thing was confusing than this one which is there. So for me, I would say she's not out of order. The Honorable Minister will continue.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for teaching young people that experience is best teacher. Madam Speaker, I was talking about Kashima East, and I was saying that whilst the issue of primary health has been decentralized and the communities can make decisions and spend their money, which is CDF, central government will continue to also construct these health centers where the need arises. And in that regard, I was concluding that this administration, this year, next year, and the next year, even beyond 2026, when President Hakainde Hichilema will still be in government, will continue constructing these. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. Maybe just a bit of guide. We don't have, is it young people? We have honorable members of parliament in this house. So let's try to avoid using those words like young people, old people, whatever. They are only members of parliament in the house. The honorable member for Kalabo Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I've attentively listened to the Honorable Minister and the responses she has given in relation to the questions which have been raised by the Honorable Member from Mfumwe. However, Madam Speaker, I also seek further clarification. These words which has been mentioned here, and from the Honorable Minister, the Honorable Member is saying the vastness of these areas is too great. Now, at what rate will these clinics and health posts be upgraded to a better level which will demand for a doctor, so that these wards will not only depend on the doctors who will be centered at the district. At what level, at what rate will these centers or health posts be upgraded so that distribution of doctors is increased in these wards? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Though it's totally a new question, the Honorable Minister of Health, if you've got a response for that.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Yes, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honorable, for a follow-up question. As I indicated, the classification will also look at reclassification of what staff must be at the health centers, looking at the fact that now health centers are being expanded to include maternity wings. So the issue of doctors may not only be at district level, that even at some health centers, depending on the population, depending on the functions that are being tabulated, we will find senior medical staff there as well. Thank you.
As the time is 16:40 hours, I suspend business for 20 minutes.
Well, that was Honorable Sylvia Masebo, Minister of Health, just answering a follow-up question to the question that was posed by Mr. Kamondo, whom a member of parliament, and wanted to know whether government has any plans to construct mini hospitals in wards in Mfumbo area, and these are Kalambo and Kanunzeke. So the question continues after the break.
Yes, Pauline, the House has so far considered 2 questions for oral answer under Standing Order 76 and 3 questions for oral answer under Standing Order 74. And still to come on the order paper today, we have 2 committee reports and 2 government bills that are coming at a second reading stage. And so we'll be giving details for that later on. For now, we take a break. Remember, business of the House will resume at 17 hours. Keep watching Parliament Television. Good afternoon.
I'm Kapelwa Mbagweta, Member of Parliament for Nkeyema. I went to school for my primary school in Sefula. Then I went to the Sheke Secondary School. Then to the University of Zambia. After completing at the University of Zambia, that time we had the one holding company called Zimco. I started working at Zesco, where I spent most of my time, I think around 10 years. Then I was transferred to Zambia State Insurance. From Zambia State Insurance, I was transferred to Zimco head office, where I stayed until Zimco went into voluntary liquidation as a result of a political decision by the government then. From that time, I went into the private sector. I worked for PricewaterhouseCoopers for a number of years. Then I went to NAPSA, where I was the first director of human resources in the Transform the National Provident Fund. After that, I retired, became a full-time consultant, and also on the sidelines, a politician. This is my second term. I was first elected in 2016-2021. I'm married with 5 children. The people in Nkeyema are farmers. As a matter of fact, Nkeyema is the breadbasket of Western Province, second only or probably at par with Kaoma. And so we do a lot of farming there. And in the future, after we've done all the basics, we will be applying some of the CDF to productive activities. Productive activities in the sense that you buy tractors and that sort of thing. So the enhanced CDF is the icing on the cake, because in Nkeyema we have 4 ways of bringing development to the people. Firstly, through central government. Secondly, through CDF now. Thirdly, through corporates and the international non-governmental organizations. Of course, the enhanced CDF means that all of a sudden, we've been able to do so many things which we never imagined. So, for example, from the infrastructure side, last year we had the 16 projects, and we have 8 wards, which means 2 projects per ward. And if we add up projects also by the partners would be in a year in the region of 20, 30 projects at a go. Obviously, the enhanced CDF has enabled us to do a lot of things, including the skill development, which would not have imagined possible. In the rural areas, unlike the towns or line of rail, people or citizens can appreciate the meaning of the enhanced CDF, unlike maybe in Lusaka, because everywhere they go, they can see and feel the presence of the government in terms of addressing their needs. And so we are grateful for this opportunity, in effect, to deliver on all things that are possible and have been made possible. And of course, in Kema, we are slightly luckier than other constituencies because some of the partners, like World Vision, like Water Aid, are bringing projects to us which will reduce substantially on some of the money we would have spent through CDF. So, for example, by bringing maternity annex to our health centers, by bringing water and sanitation arrangements to a number of schools, and so that has reduced on what we would have done, which means now we'll be even able to do much better than we would have imagined. So we are very thankful for what those institutions are doing. The voice of hope is the opportunity to serve the people of Nkema, the support the structures give us, and of course our workers in the council. They are rolling out projects like confetti, so that's very good.
My name is Leonard Mbao, Member of Parliament for Mplungu constituency, Provincial Minister, Northern Province. I was born in 1980, right in Mplungu district. I did my primary school partly in Mplungu, then I went to Mbala, St. Paul's. I came to Ndola to do my secondary school at Chifubu Secondary School, in Ndola, where I completed in the year 2001. From there, I proceeded to do National Accounting Technician. It was called NATEC then. In 2002 up to 2004 when I graduated. Then went on to start doing the SCCA program. Professionally, after school in 2004, I think I joined the an accounting firm, Matutu and Company, and then I worked there for some time before I went on to do some work with an Indian firm called Starscape. I worked there for about 2-3 years. Then I proceeded to join Tazama, where I worked for a number of years until I left Tazama in 2011. From there, I went now into business, started a company called LBM Transport, where we are transporting fuel. Then this company grew. We went into distribution, started distributing fuel to various customers. And then finally, we also went into retail, where we are running a number of filling stations. From there, I think in 2015, I saw the need to go back home and try to help in terms of ensuring that the district sees the development. Because, as you might be aware, our district is quite poor. It's got two sides. We have got the valley where we do the fishing. That's predominantly fishermen there. And then we have the plateau where we do farming. So we have got those two sides, fishing the other side and farming on the plateau. I contested in 2016 as an independent. We didn't do it. We went back in 2021 to contest, this time under the UPND, and we succeeded. Therefore, I am a member of parliament from Mpulungu constituency. As I explained to Sir, Mpulungu has got two sides. We have got the plateau and the valley. And the economic situation is not that's something good that you can write home about. It's something we are trying as much as possible to change. So therefore we thank the government of His Excellency, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, for giving us the CDF, which has really been enhanced from 1.6. It went to 25 million and now 28.3 million that we are sitting on. We are looking at, first of all, trying to improve in terms of the road network, which is very, very bad, especially on the plateau where it's a farming community. So what we are trying to do is we have used almost all the amount that was allocated to us in 2022 to come up with the earth-moving equipment. So we are in the process of procuring the grader, the bulldozer, 2 tippers. We are procuring equally the roller compactor and the water bowser. So our view is that once we have these things, then we'll be able to do most of these roads on our own, because of course when you look at the market rates for the construction of these filler roads now, it's ranging above 1 million. So when you have 15 million that we have under our community projects, it means we'll be able to only do 15 kilometers. That won't really help. But if we can get our equipment, we only need a fuel and a little bit of some money for allowances for the people who are doing the roads, and we are hoping that we can do quite a lot of roads, because our roads are quite long. The constituency is very, very big. With that, we are hoping that we can try to first of all help the farmers be able to access farming inputs and transport it in a very good manner. And also, we are opening the access to the market so that when they do production, they should be able to sell using a very nice road that we are going to not only build, but be able to maintain on a yearly basis. Every time we should be going through so that this road can be quite passable. As if that it's not only that we are looking at, we are also looking at, when you look at Mpulungu, we are the frontage of Lake Tanganyika. So that frontage, we have got a lot of beaches, a lot of nice places that you would want to visit. but because they are not open, so it's very difficult for us to attract investment and also attract tourists within these places. We have got a few places that are running, but always they are complaining of lack of enough customers because, of course, you can understand, there is no road network, there is no communication systems, there is no power. So this one has proved as a challenge. We have identified this to say that our lake frontage is something that is of an advantage to us, and therefore we are trying to open up the roads along the lake shore. Once we open up those roads, then we also follow them up with the electricity. Then we are going to invite people to go and invest there, because there's a road, there's network, there's electricity. People are going to actually invest there, and when they invest, I know, because those are fabulous places. You go there, you are going to have the time of your life. So this is another one we are trying to do in order to try to boost the tourism, which we strongly feel to say that Mpulungu should be one of the major centers for tourism in the country.